Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. My name is Sheila Moniga. Thank you so much for finding this channel. Please click subscribe and hit notifications so you never miss an upload every Monday. And in these changing and shifting times of COVID-19, we're doing our best to package content that's in line and in step with the shifting and changing information that we're all getting concerning COVID-19 and, of course, the coronavirus. Doreen Moracha is an incredible young lady whose work I have followed online for the longest time. She is a beautiful storyteller, an HIV positive advocate, and a social influencer. And in these times of COVID-19, we all understand that staying safe, especially for people with underlying conditions, this is of paramount and of absolute importance. Doreen, good day to you, young lady. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and you?
Niko salama sana. I've followed you. I've seen your posts, madam.
Mm-hmm.
You represent a generation that, did not grow up with HIV and AIDS the way I did and the way those before me did. Your generation, I think for many of them, they really don't understand HIV properly, yeah?
Yeah, I actually also feel so sometimes. Yeah.
But it is your sole duty, it is your responsibility, it is something you have chosen to do, to be a positive advocate, to let people know a little bit more about HIV. So in a nutshell, for anyone who's just joining with us now and catching up with your story, let us go back to the beginning for you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am Doreen Moracha. I am a young woman living with HIV since I was born. That is 28 years. In fact, it's noted 28 years, but on 8th August this year, it's going to be 28 years of me living with HIV. I was born to a HIV discordant couple where my mom is HIV positive and my dad is HIV negative. I have 4 siblings, 3 who are all HIV negative, and I am the only one who is living with HIV. I have an online initiative called I Am a Beautiful Story that basically aims at creating awareness and giving people hope that there is life even after a HIV positive diagnosis.
What was it like for you growing up, knowing that you were different from your siblings? Did you ever feel shaky or unstable, or did they make you feel different but in a negative way?
You see, my parents found out about my HIV status when I was 8 years old. And after that, now they started treating me very differently. Because they had been told that I had 4 years to live, which is up to my 12th birthday. So for them, it was like, now let us now be close to her. This is the time we now pamper her. Literally those times, all I used to do is just cough and I'm told, okay, what is wrong? Are you okay? It was a lot of extra attention. So then it now brought some bad blood between me and my older siblings because they used to feel like I'm being favored, like I'm being given special preference, unlike them. So there's a time they even used to say that I'm not really sick. Like maybe I'm done with malaria or a fever, and they would be like, no, she's not sick. She just wants the attention, But in the real sense, I'm sick. And, by the time I was diagnosed, there were no ARVs. So I was put on Septrin, and the rest was just left in the hands of God. So for my parents, they were worried they were going to lose a child. For my siblings, they accused me of being loved too much.
So I think for you growing up, you've always known that you're different and you've always had to pay extra care and attention to yourself. What was that like, going to school, interacting with other children, letting even, of course, the school system know that you are HIV positive? How was that transition for you?
So, in primary school, I was not told I'm living with HIV. So I grew up until when I was 13. Then my mom told me you're living with HIV. No, in fact, she's not the one who told me. She took me to hospital. And then at hospital now I was told, Doreen, you were born with HIV and now you're going to start medication. So the whole time when I was growing up and going to school, most of the time I was very sick. In fact, when I was in class 6, I missed like a whole term of school. And now when I went back to school, I just went back to do only the exams. And my teacher was like, even if you go to, he was teaching something and then I was not grasping because, hey, I've been away for a whole week, for a whole month. And he's like, even if you go to Kenyatta 20 times, if you are not going to grasp this, you will not. So for me, I didn't actually feel that, I didn't know why he was saying that. So when I told my mom that, my mom became very angry. She even went to school and confronted the teacher and told him, you don't know what this child has, so leave the child alone. In fact, at school, my mom had instructed that nobody should beat me. You know the way we used to be disciplined in school and all that? Nobody, she was the only person allowed to beat me because, she was my mom. But in school, no, nobody was allowed to touch me because she used, and I was told, at first I was told they have skin cancer because I used to have all these skin problems. Then I was later told I have a heart problem. And they told me the heart problem will go away as soon as I grow up. Now, when I was told, now you're living with HIV, and they tell me, you have to take this medication for the rest of your life. And then it also denied me the chance of going to boarding school in Form 1. Because when I was told when I was in class 8. So in Form 1, I was not able to go to boarding school. My mom said, there is no good diet in boarding school. Who is going to take care of you? How are you going to take your medication? So I had to stay home Form 1 and Form 2. I went to a day school. And it was okay, actually. I had fun. And nobody knew. In fact, I was not even worried that I am living with HIV. Right. So it only came to hit me when now I went to boarding school. Mm-hmm. So there, boarding school are shared spaces, and now people come, peep into your box, then they see this medication and they ask you, what are these for? And when I was disclosed to, I was told, never tell anyone that you're living with HIV. So now I'm like, I can't tell them what I have. So I will tell them, it's just for my heart problem, Like I used to tell them I have a hole in my heart. I don't.
Girl.
And some of them will even ask me, like, so what are the symptoms? Like, how do you feel? And I tell them, I feel weak. It's.
Oh my goodness.
It was like it was a lot. But I couldn't come out and tell them this is it. This is my HIV story, because probably they might have ended up stigmatizing me. Remember, these are all teenagers, and when as you are growing up, you are told, even in school, you are taught that HIV is a death sentence. So right. I knew they would never understand. So after now I finished Form 4. Now that is when actually it started hitting me. Now the reality now hit me completely that this HIV thing is not a good thing. Remember when I was disclosed to, I was a very happy person because I knew there was a time every month I would miss school, and when my mom will take me to hospital, she will treat me to chips and chicken and soda. You see, it was a blessing in disguise. So for me at that particular moment, it was a happy thing. But now when I finished school, then it started now not making sense. Mm-hmm. Why? Because now when I finished my Form 4, I came to one of the universities in Nairobi where my uncle used to be a lecturer. And so I told him, I want to do mass communication. I want to be a radio presenter. I loved radio, by the way. And he told me, no, you can't. So I was like, why? I am qualified. Like, look at my KCSE results. He was like, that is not about your qualifications. It's about the fact that people will know you. And when they know you, they will stigmatize you. You see? So then I said, okay, if I can't be a radio presenter, then I'll go and become an air hostess. I love traveling though. But at that time, I was not even like this huge. So I went to 2 schools. So the first one is actually where all my hope was like, have you ever been down and then people like now put you even
on you a little bit more, yeah.
Like, mm-hmm. Now it now ends up becoming a really bad situation. So I went there And I have this scar on my left eye that was caused by an infection called herpes zoster. So they told me, you can't be an air hostess. And I was like, why? According to the things you have named here, I have all of them. So why? So that lady told me, because you have a scar. And before you become an air hostess, you have to be taken through an interview, and they have to see that you don't have any physical marks. So I became very angry. I went home. Now I was very angry, and I told my mom, now I don't want to be HIV positive anymore. And sometimes it's weird that the universe is always speaking something. I saw Babu Loliondo on TV. And there were lines, there were people going to Loliondo. They, like, you know, and the media was...
No, you did not go there. You didn't go. Please tell me no.
The media was hyping it. And Babu said he can heal everything.
You
so
went?
I convinced him. Yeah, I convinced my mom and we went.
No.
Yeah, we went. We went all the way to Tanzania. We paid the fare 10K each. We reached there. We found a line. It was a long queue of vehicles heading into Babu's compound. So the following morning, Babu calls us to his compound, addresses us, tells us, hey, thank you all for coming. I do not have the cure, but the cure is in your faith. Trust me, for us to travel all those kilometers to Tanzania, we had faith. We had 150%.
He could have just told you on text. Why did you have to go?
Listen, now here is the catch. So we are going to drink that cup. The cup costed only 100 Kenya shillings. So you're going to drink the cup, and you go home and believe you're healed. And we drank our cup. We came back to Kenya. We stopped taking our ARVs. And that is where now the problems started. So my mom stopped for only 3 months. But for me, I refused to go back to my ARVs. So for my mom, she stopped for 3 months. Then she went and got tested. The test came out back positive. So she came and told me, I think we should just go back to our ARVs. I told her, no, maybe the medicine takes time. She's like, no, 3 months later, we should have been healed by now. You know, we should have been healed. So she decided to go back. I told her, let me wait. So I waited 2 years, nothing. I was still HIV positive.
Doreen, listening to your journey, how did you go from not telling anyone to coming out and acceptance and even advocacy?
So I finished college. I did community development. I was doing attachment at the Teacher Service Commission, their wellness unit. So we went out to test people in this particular campus. So in that week that we were there, people refused to come to that area. You know the way you go set up tents and all that. So they refused to come. So we were told, now you have to go to their classes, convince them to come and take a test, because the test is free and all that. So I will go and tell them, and they will be like, no, me, I don't want to know, because there's nothing I have done wrong. So like all of them had this phobia about knowing their status. So now we had to encourage them. So when we went back to the office, my boss asked me, because she knew about my story. She was like, Doreen, how would you feel if you came out and talked to people about your status? And I laughed. Because I was like, hey, okay. I was told never to tell anyone about my status. So how am I supposed to tell people who don't even know me? So, but I did not tell her no. I told her, okay, no problem. Definitely, I will think about it. So later on that week, I was reading this newspaper, and then I came across this story of some lady. She was making some changes in Kibera and all that. So I was like, Ebu, let me write to this editor. So that is actually how I came out publicly the first time. So I wrote an email to the editor, and in my mind I was like, she will not even reply. Hey, let me reach home. And then I find a whole reply, and she's telling me, I love your story, I want to share it, and I really want you to know more about it. So can you come and we do an interview? And I was like, okay, that was fast, you know. So, and that is actually how I started. That is the very first interview I did. And now, after the interview, I left my email address, and on the email is actually where now people contacted me. People told me their stories. People told me how they're in denial, how they're taking ARVs secretly, how they don't want to come out publicly, how they don't even want to come out to their marriage partners. So that really got me very worried. I'm like, if this is your marriage partner and you're not telling them that you're living with HIV, then that is strange. And somebody is even telling me, I take my ARVs from the boot of my car, get into my house like nothing happened. So after that now is when I started now the online advocacy. And I did it, and now more people kept approaching me, and I kept giving them advice, and now we are here. Actually, this month on 28th, it's going to be exactly 5 years since I came out publicly as a person living with HIV.
So, young girls like yourself, being in the 20s, being in the 30s, for most of these young women, the biggest fear is not even an STI or STD, it's a baby. Yet HIV/AIDS is real. What have you got to say to young ladies, ma'am?
Young girls prefer having an STD or an STI or living with HIV more than being pregnant, because they feel that is something nobody will know. And they are like, Mimi, no, I can't have a child, but I can, if I'm HIV positive, then it's easier to live with. But then they forget that a child is only in your tummy for 9 months. And after 18 years, they become their own person. You probably are like, oh, they have already grown up. But for HIV, it lives with you for the rest of your life. And we don't have a cure. It's 2020, there is no cure for HIV. So we are learning to live with it. And so far, the only thing that is taking us back is the stigma. It's the too much stigma associated with HIV. Because even sometimes when I share my story, because I use social media mainly, people are like, how many people have you infected now that you have come out? How did you get this HIV? Are you sure you were born with HIV? Like, they have to scrutinize every other issue. The stigma, the misconceptions and the myths, they're still there. They're still real. And those ones, you can't run away from them. And living with a health condition and taking medication every day is not an easy task. It is hard. There are days you just don't want to take that medication, but you have to. So as much as people prefer having HIV to being pregnant is temporal. Living with HIV is permanent.
You've understood and you've lived with stigma. You know what that is. You know what it is to have a virus inside you that you have to take medication for and to pambana. And right now, as a globe, we're all dealing with yet another virus, one that we still don't understand very well. And in Kenya, you can see it's already been one that's causing stigma for those who are found positive. It's already causing us grief. What is your experience so far with COVID-19? And what would you advise others with underlying conditions like yourself with HIV, or maybe those dealing with cancer or other conditions? What's your word of advice as you close up on that question?
We have been given the safety practices: stay home, sanitize, wash your hands, and all that. Personally, I'm actually working from home, so I'm trying as much as possible to stay safe, because, the weird thing about this, I've actually seen this thing on people on social media saying the thing with COVID is we are being told there are 800 cases, we don't know the 800 cases. It is the same way. There are 1.6 million Kenyans living with HIV, and there are people who don't know that these 1.6 million Kenyans have HIV. So it's not about having a face to the virus. It is more about knowing that that virus is real. It is there. It is, people are being infected, people are being killed. People are dying from it. And you have to stay safe. You don't just go out and say, if I'm going to die of COVID, I'm going to die of COVID. And you just become careless about it. You have to stay safe, because you don't know who has it. You don't know who does not have it. Also, for people with underlying health conditions, at first, people used to say that if you're healthy and the immune system is okay, then you cannot get COVID and all that. It's only for older people and the people who are living with underlying health conditions. But that is a lie, because anybody can get COVID-19. It is just that people with underlying health conditions are more susceptible to getting it and they are also more susceptible to succumbing to it than people who do not have any other health conditions. But then we have seen that people are getting healed, their recoveries. So all I can say is whether you have a health condition or you do not have a health condition, just stay safe, because you don't want to expose yourself to the virus just because you feel it's not going to target me. The virus is not a respecter of anybody. It catches anyone. It doesn't matter whether, we have seen a case of a child as young as 6 months. So that means that it is a virus for everybody. So it's all about people to stay safe. For people with underlying health conditions, ensure you have your medication. Because for people with HIV who are undetectable, they say when you're undetectable and the virus level in your body is low, then your chances of actually recovering from COVID, if you have it, are very high. So stay undetectable, ensure you have a good supply of ARVs, ensure that you are taking a lot of vitamins and boosting your immune system, because right now we need boosted immune systems. Also, on the issue of stigma, stigma is mostly brought about by myths and misconceptions and fear. And so far, we have seen a lot of myths and misconceptions about COVID and a lot of fear spread about COVID. So we need to break away that stigma barrier, and that we don't really need to have another case of HIV where there is too much stigma, people don't understand the virus, so everybody has their own theories about it. Let us get the facts, because there are facts. Let us know the facts and have them, and know that this is what there is so far. This is what people have understood about COVID so far, and we go with them. And let us not stigmatize people who we know have COVID, because they are also human beings. Remember that this virus is a virus for humans, so treat them as human beings.
Thank you for sharing your experiences. I am going to share your social media platforms on all my social media as well, so that we can get these messages of positivity during COVID, and also for HIV positive persons to live their very best lives no matter what, on all my social media as well. I wish you all the very best, and thank you to you for checking out this conversation. Please share it, drop a comment below. Isn't Doreen absolutely amazing? As always, I've got to remind you to click subscribe and hit notifications, and catch up with me on next week's episode. Stay safe, stay sane. I know the government has just told us that we've got another 21 more days of curfew and confinement. It's no longer just stay safe. Stay sane, stay sane, stay sane. And I know we can all do it. So thank you for watching. Let's catch up again next week. And in all things that you do, live out loud. Bye for now. Bye, Doreen.